Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. This whole mess started 6 months ago when my husband's sister got engaged. She was planning this huge wedding, like 200 guests, destination venue, the whole 9 yards. But here's the thing. She and her fiancé don't have money. At all. They're both in their late 20s and still living with his parents. My husband and I have been together for 8 years, married for 5. We're comfortable. I work in tech and make good money. He's a teacher. We split everything fairly, but yeah, I'm the higher earner by a lot. His family has always been weird about it. Little comments here and there. His mom once said it was unnatural for the wife to make more. His dad asked if my husband felt emasculated. I usually just ignored it because my husband always had my back. The wedding planning was going nowhere because his sister couldn't afford the venue she wanted. It was this fancy barn place, like $8,000 just for the deposit. She was crying at every family dinner about how her dream wedding was falling apart. Then my husband came to me one night. He sat me down and said his family was hoping we could help. I asked what kind of help. He said maybe we could cover the venue deposit. I was hesitant. That's a lot of money, but he kept pushing. He said it would mean so much to his sister. That family helps family, that we could afford it. I said fine, but I had one condition. The deposit would be in my name. If anything went wrong, I could get the money back. My husband agreed, said that was smart actually. So I paid the $8,000. His sister was overjoyed, hugging me, crying, saying I was the best sister-in-law ever. His parents thanked me like 20 times. 2 weeks later, I found out the truth. I came home early from a work trip, walked into our house and heard voices upstairs. I went up and found my husband in our bedroom with his ex-girlfriend. They were in our bed. I won't go into details, but it was bad. Really bad. I stood there frozen and he scrambled up trying to explain. She grabbed her clothes and ran past me. He followed me downstairs begging me to listen. He said it was a mistake, that they'd reconnected on social media a month ago, that it only happened twice, that he loved me and wanted to work on our marriage. I told him to get out. He left that night. The next day I called a lawyer, started divorce proceedings immediately. I wasn't interested in trying to fix anything. He cheated. We were done. His family lost their minds when they found out we were separating. But not because they felt bad for me, because they were worried about the wedding money. His mom called me 3 days after I kicked him out. She asked if we were really getting divorced, or if we were just taking a break. I told her it was really happening. She was quiet for a second, then said, "Well, you're still going to honor your commitment to the wedding, right?" I couldn't believe it. I said I'd think about it, and hung up. Then his sister called. She was crying, but it felt manipulative. She said she was sorry about what happened, but her wedding had nothing to do with my marriage. That I'd made a promise. That I couldn't back out now because they'd already sent invitations and made plans based on having that venue. I told her I hadn't decided anything yet. She said, "You can't be that petty. This is my wedding, my special day. You're really going to ruin it because you're mad at my brother." That pissed me off, but I still didn't make a decision. I told her I needed time. A week later, my husband came to get some of his stuff from the house. We barely spoke. But as he was leaving, he said, "You know, my family is right. You should still pay for the wedding. It's the decent thing to do." I just stared at him. He kept going. I know I messed up, but taking it out on my sister isn't fair. She didn't do anything wrong. I asked if he was serious. He said yes. That backing out of the wedding would make me look vindictive and petty. That people would think I was a bad person. That's when his mom called again. But this time she wasn't nice about it. She said I was being selfish, that I was punishing an innocent girl for her brother's mistakes. Then she said something that made my blood boil. "You know, we always knew you were a gold digger. You probably wanted this marriage to fall apart so you could take half of everything. But you're not taking our daughter's wedding down with you." A gold digger. Me. The person who paid for their daughter's venue. The person who made more money than her son ever did. I was so angry I hung up without saying anything. But that comment stuck with me. I realized something. His whole family thought I was some opportunist using my husband for financial gain, even though I was the one with money. They never respected me. They just tolerated me because I was useful. The wedding was in 3 months at that point. I let them think everything was fine. I didn't bring it up again. Didn't respond to messages asking about it. Meanwhile, the divorce was moving forward. My husband tried to drag it out, but my lawyer was good. We were going to be officially done about a month after the wedding date. His sister kept planning. She'd occasionally text me updates, which was weird considering I was divorcing her brother. Things like, "just finalized the catering," and "found my dress." I think she was trying to keep me invested so I wouldn't pull the plug. I let her think it was working. 2 months went by. The wedding was getting close. I saw on social media that his sister was posting about final preparations, dress fittings, bachelorette party, seating charts. My soon-to-be ex-husband moved in with his parents. I heard through mutual friends that his family was planning to pressure me at the wedding to reconsider the divorce. Like they thought seeing everyone happy would make me forget he cheated. That made my decision easier. 3 weeks before the wedding, I looked up the cancellation policy for the venue. Turns out you could get 80% of your deposit back if you canceled more than 72 hours in advance. After that, you got nothing. I waited. His sister sent me a text 2 weeks before asking if I wanted to come to the wedding. I said I'd think about it. She said it would mean a lot if I was there to see how my contribution made her day possible. The audacity. 1 week before the wedding, his mom called. She was nice again, fake nice. Asked how I was doing. Said she hoped there were no hard feelings. Then casually mentioned how beautiful the venue was and how grateful they were that I'd made it possible. I said something non-committal and got off the phone. 4 days before the wedding, his sister posted a countdown on social media. She was so excited. Her comments were full of congratulations. I called the venue that afternoon, told them I needed to cancel. They were surprised since it was so close to the date, but I was still within the 72-hour window. Barely. They processed the cancellation. I got $6,400 back. The venue called his sister an hour later to let her know. All hell broke loose. My phone exploded with calls and texts. His sister was screaming on voicemail, saying I was evil, that I'd ruined her life, that everyone was already traveling to the wedding, that she had nowhere to get married now. His mom left a message calling me every name in the book. Said I was a spiteful, vindictive person. That karma would get me. His dad texted saying I'd stooped to a new low, that I was proving I never really cared about their family. My husband called twice, but I didn't answer. He left a voicemail saying he couldn't believe I'd do something so cruel. That his sister was hysterical, and it was all my fault. I didn't respond to any of them. Apparently his sister tried to find another venue, but everything was booked or way too expensive for last-minute booking. They ended up having the ceremony in his parents' backyard and the reception in a community center. From what I heard, about half the guests showed up. The rest had already made travel plans they couldn't change or just decided it wasn't worth it anymore. The whole thing was apparently a disaster. Mismatched decorations, folding chairs, someone's phone playing music instead of a DJ. His sister posted one photo from the wedding on social media. You could tell she'd been crying. The caption was something like, "Not the day I planned, but married the love of my life." The comments were full of people asking what happened. Some mutual friends reached out to me after. A couple said I went too far, that his sister didn't deserve that. Others said they understood why I did it, but maybe I should have given her more warning. One friend told me his sister has been telling everyone I'm a monster who destroyed her wedding out of spite, that the family has completely cut me off, which is fine by me since the divorce is almost final anyway. My lawyer said what I did was completely legal since the deposit was in my name, and I was within the cancellation window, But she also said it probably didn't help my image in the divorce proceedings, though it won't really matter since we didn't have kids and assets are pretty straightforward. My own family is split. My mom thinks I did the right thing, said his family deserved it after how they treated me. My dad thinks I should have been the bigger person and let the wedding happen. That revenge isn't worth it. Part of me feels justified. They called me a gold digger after I gave them money. They made it clear they never respected me. They expected me to bankroll their event while my marriage was falling apart because of their son's choices. But another part of me knows I did cause a lot of collateral damage. His sister really didn't cheat on me. Neither did his parents. They were just entitled and rude. Maybe canceling the venue was too far. Maybe I should have just asked for the money back earlier instead of waiting until the last possible moment. I don't know anymore. The divorce is almost done. I've moved on with my life, but I still think about that canceled wedding sometimes. So after everything that happened, was I actually in the wrong for pulling the plug when I did? Everyone sucks here except maybe your lawyer. OP's husband and his family were manipulative and ungrateful, no doubt. But waiting until 72 hours before the wedding to cancel was a nuclear option. OP was right to get HR money back, but she also knowingly humiliated them. It's understandable, but definitely scorched earth. I hope it gave OP closure, because that bridge is completely burned. And now let's hear community's opinion. Not the a-hole. You didn't ruin her wedding. Your cheating husband did. You were generous enough to pay for something you didn't owe them, and the moment you became the villain in their eyes, all bets were off. They called you a gold digger while taking your money. That's wild. You simply took back what was yours. Actions have consequences, and their entitlement finally met reality. Honestly, this was chef's kiss poetic justice. They used you, disrespected you, and expected you to keep funding their fairy tale after your marriage literally imploded because of their son's actions. You played it smart, legally, strategically, and with perfect timing. The fact that they ended up with a backyard wedding is just karmic balance at its finest. I'll admit, it was a bit ruthless, but still completely justified. They treated you like an ATM, not a human being. You didn't owe them a dime once the marriage ended. Sure, the sister didn't cheat on you, but she sure benefited from your money and acted entitled to it. Sometimes people only learn boundaries the hard way. Back in 2000, I had the fortune of winning a lottery. It wasn't millions or anything, but I paid off my college loans, bought a house, and was able to be comfortable even through the recession of '08. When my niece was born 3 years later, I immediately loved her like my own and decided she would have the same head start I did. Now, my niece will be 18 next year, and I've saved enough for her college and for her to outright buy a decent-sized house whenever she's ready. My living expenses have only been a few thousand a year, and my job pays very well, so I've saved most of my pay for this. This will hopefully allow her to pay it forward to the next generation and always be comfortable. The issue is my wife. We've been married 8 years, together 13. We've had multiple talks and have agreed to keep our finances mostly separate, mainly because she had a financially aggressive relationship before we got together. We have a shared bank account for our few expenses, vacations, and buying gifts for loved ones. Otherwise, savings, retirements, everything is separate, to the point where she didn't even want me to add her name to the house. Neither of us wanted kids, so that's not an issue. I'm happy with my niece, and my wife is happy with her 3 nephews. However, one nephew is the same age as my niece and is freaking out about what he's going to do since he didn't get a scholarship he was hoping for, since he's graduating after next semester. My wife and I were discussing it, and I asked if she had saved up anything. She was surprised by this idea and asked what I meant. I told her what I had saved for my niece, and now she's demanding I split it. There would still be enough for her to go to the college she wants, just not buy a house. I'm not happy with this. My wife has also had very low living expenses and hasn't saved anything for her side of the family. I'm happy to give the kid gifts, but I want my niece to never be scared of debt or being homeless. Am I the a-hole for refusing? Edit. Quick edit to clarify some things. My wife moved in with me after 2 years of dating. Ever since then, the only expenses she's had to pay are half of utilities, half of groceries, and half of our fund money. Both of us contribute about $10 to $15K a year to the household, depending on what our vacationing plans are, and the rest of the money is ours to do with as we want. I know she had some debt when we first got together, but she finished paying that off years ago. Other than those combined finances, no, we really don't talk about money. Her request to keep things separate, and so long as neither of us are gambling addicts, we don't really need to know what the other does. Finally, I really don't consider her nephews mine. I've met them all of 2 times, while I see my niece multiple times a week. The difference in living on different sides of the country, I guess, and my wife doesn't really talk to them on the phone. Her and her family text all the time, but since they're not big phone callers and I haven't been added to the group chat, I'm okay with not having a relationship with them. My wife has, before, expressed liking the fact that I'm not close with her family, since her aggressive ex was friends with a lot of them, and it was hard to separate her life from him once they broke up. So these people are pretty much strangers, so I don't consider them family, but my wife's family. Not the a-hole. Unless I'm misreading this, you didn't mean she was surprised to find out that the fund you've been saving for your niece since before you even met her wasn't some universal fund for all relatives, hers and yours alike. But more, she was surprised at the general idea that one could save up money and give it to a family member in need. And then, having made no efforts nor sacrifices over the years to put together such a fund on her own, decided she had some kind of say in yours. And again, in a fund whose existence predates her initial appearance in your life by years. Not the a-hole. I can see why your wife wants to share, but you saved this money specifically for your niece. Not only did your wife not think of saving up money for her nephew, the nephew's parents did not either. Your niece should not suffer because of their poor planning. Most people don't have a rich aunt or uncle that are going to pay their way through college. Her nephew will find a way if he really wants to go to college. As a compromise for your wife, maybe you can both try to put some money aside for her nephew now, without touching your niece's savings. I would stay firm that the money you put aside for your niece belongs to your niece. Not the a-hole. Your wife was perfectly happy to keep everything separate until she learned that you had saved up for your niece. Upon finding out about your savings for her, all of a sudden that story has changed, and now she wants to be able to have a say in it. It is your money, so it's your call at the end of the day. In the sake of fairness, I'd probably consider giving your nephews something, since they are your family too. But that's not an obligation at all, just something to consider. Basically, my sibling called me an a-hole because she has 2 kids and asked our mother to split her monies, assets, between us 4. Her 2 kids, and myself, who has no kids. Then us 2 equally, who are her only children. Essentially, she was trying to pull the old grandma heartstrings, which always works. Me. Currently, I'm not married. I'm super keen on adoption, though, in the future. So I overheard them talking about family business and finance. My mother said she had myself and her as 50-50, since we're her only children. My sibling then said, "What about kids' names?" And my mom said there was enough for them from what my sibling was getting. But my sibling said something along the lines of, "But they are their own people, so should have their names written and be given separately." I then heard my sibling say, "Barris 4B isn't married. She doesn't have kids either. Maybe in the future she will, but for now, it should be split between those currently in our family, right now, at this moment. And anyways, Barris 4B is about to be a lawyer. She doesn't need it as much as I do. She didn't finish school." At this point I interjected. I think I said something along the lines of, "Just because you have kids doesn't mean you're entitled to anyone's money, and that includes Mom." Then she started yapping about how hard it is to have kids, and I wouldn't know because I didn't have any. Then she asked if I loved my niece and nephew. I love my niece and nephew, so that was stupid as heck. Considering combined, I spend $200 to $300 per kid every year on their B-days, and that's not including Christmas, nor the extra money, around $250. I send for groceries twice a year, so the kids can buy their favorite foods, snacks, or the extra things I buy them when they request. I.e., my nephew loves science or certain novels, so when he asks for a science kit or a 3rd or 4th edition, I buy and send immediately. I absolutely love nurturing their growth. So I snapped and said she was the one being selfish. It's not as if I'm an a-hole sibling who would swipe her or my family clean. I actually care about them. So they were being not only offensive, but dumb. She even knows this about me, so I was more confused. I asked my mom, should I go have kids then? Would I have more value as a daughter if I did? And she said no, she loved me regardless. She's still sticking to 50-50. However, my sibling is now calling me a selfish a-hole because she says there's plenty to go around and I shouldn't complain so much. Not the a-hole. Don't you love when people call someone selfish when they are the ones truly being selfish? She doesn't want to share her portion with the kids. In my opinion, 50-50 is fair between children from their parent. Not the a-hole. Sibling is being greedy. Besides, you'll both have a share. Thankfully, your mother is splitting it fairly, because giving it directly to you two will ensure the financial stability of your unit, thereby indirectly benefiting the grandchildren, in the case of your sibling. Sibling should weigh out the cost and savings from her portions. Also, she should have been budgeting her current means before having children. Not the a-hole. If there's plenty to go around, she'll have enough for herself and her kids when it's split properly. She's demanding you give up half so she'll get 25%. She's bonkers. I'm also so sorry for your mom. Having a daughter basically wait for her to die because she wants to inherit as much as possible must hurt so much. One of my nephews was born with a rare disease. He has almost no mobility and cannot speak or eat on his own. The disease has no cure, though there are treatments to help the symptoms. So far, all of his treatment and medicines has been covered by the healthcare system. My sister and brother-in-law haven't had to pay anything themselves. There is an experimental treatment recently developed in another country. However, as it is new and experimental, it isn't covered by the healthcare system. The treatment is costly. They are unsure if it would work, and even if it does, he would likely need it again in the future. I do not have children, but I understand that my sister and brother-in-law would do anything they could. They have been fundraising to pay the costs. I've given them all I can spare. I got refunds for a trip I was supposed to take soon, and gave that as well. I love my nephew to the ends of the earth. I gave them a 5-figure sum to go towards their costs. I'm told it isn't enough. I've been asked to both refinance my home and sell my boat. Other family members are going to what I consider extreme lengths. If it's their choice, that's fine, but I cannot possibly do what they are asking. It is far, far into 6 figures that my nephew needs. My home's total price was only in the 5-figure range. They've already appealed the healthcare system decision and lost. None of my family has much, but we are all giving what we can. I resent being asked to go to these lengths, though. One of my brothers and his wife have sold their house and moved into a smaller rental. My dad gave up on retiring. My cousin gave them all the money she set aside for school. I give them everything I could, but I'm getting calls and even visits telling me it's not enough. I thought I was making the right decision saying I can't give anything else, but given that my entire family is against me, I'm rethinking it. My sister called my parents in tears when I said no to refinancing my house, leading to a terse call from my brother-in-law. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give more? Not the a-hole. This is insane. Do not sell anything or refinance your house. You cannot destroy your security and end up in poverty. This is an experimental treatment. It is very risky. It's probably also so expensive that there won't be enough money even if everyone does sell everything. The family needs to be running a GoFundMe or other fundraiser. Do not sell anything and do not cave. You may have to end phone conversations with them. They're desperate and will try anything, even if that means destroying the lives of everyone in the family. Not the a-hole. You are doing what you can and what you are comfortable with. You are not obligated to cripple your finances to pay for a non-immediate family member's medical care. It's awful that your nephew has such a terrible disease, but the actions of the family members giving up retirement, education funds, and homes is extreme and not healthy in my opinion, particularly because the treatment is experimental. Not the a-hole. Bankrupting yourself and your family for a treatment that may not even work is pretty selfish. Not the a-hole. You gave as much as you could. Saying this isn't enough is cruel. Other family members made their decisions. Good or bad, it's their decisions. You made your own. They should be thankful that you helped. Not all families are so willing to help. I am a 22 male gay man. My cousin is 18 female. Her mother and her father are aggressive pieces of crap. She cut contact with them the second she turned 18. She joined the same college that I am currently attending last year. Within 6 months of being in the new city, she got pregnant. When she came to me for advice, I told her honestly that she should terminate, else she would lose her sports scholarship and she would have to drop out. In the end, she wanted to keep the baby. She dropped out. She had no money, So I got her a waitressing gig and pulled some strings to join her in a very good dorm of sorts for women. There are too many bunk beds in one big room. There's no privacy, but she would be able to save up a ton. I also got her to enroll in several welfare schemes for pregnant women and for food stamps. I have helped her as much as I can. She is now 8 months pregnant. About a month ago, she asked me to be in the delivery room with her. I told her no because I wasn't comfortable with that. Since then, she has been bringing that up constantly. A few nights ago, she sat on my couch and told me that she wasn't going to leave until I changed my mind. During that weekend, she was extremely annoying. She kept doing things that would specifically annoy me and then say she was going to keep doing it until I agreed. I was on an intense game of Call of Duty when she unplugged the console and brought this up again. I told her that I will be in the waiting room, but not the delivery room. She said that it's not enough. I lost my cool and told her that I am not her parent or her baby's father and that I am doing enough and she should stop expecting me to do everything. She is now very upset. She's still asking me to change my mind. I get that she is afraid, but that's just something I'm not comfortable with. On the other hand, I am the only support she has got. So I'm really conflicted about who is right here. I don't want to see her suffer or sad, but this is something that I really do not want to do. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This is all her own fault, and you've already gone above and beyond for her. She honestly doesn't sound mature enough to be raising a baby. I fear for them. Oh Lord, not the a-hole. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not the father, you're not obligated to be in that room. Pointing that out after combative behavior by her is understandable, as well as the truth. I feel bad she doesn't have more family support, but this tantrum she's pulling is uncalled for. I'm guessing there's no way the father can be there to support her? Not the a-hole. I understand she's scared, as any first-time mother would be, but she's going too far trying to force you to do something you're uncomfortable with. My only suggestion would be to maybe help her to find a group of expectant mothers to help her prep for labor and delivery. My parents had 4 children together: my sister Amy, my brother Luke, my sister Sarah, and then me. Until 2019, we had no idea there was this deep, dark family secret lurking underneath the surface, until a series of events happened. Then we discovered our father was not our biological father. This was something he didn't know either. We ended up doing paternity tests with the hope that it wasn't true, but it was. Amy and Luke share a sperm donor, while Sarah and I share one. Our mother claims she knew Dad was infertile, or at least was not able to get her pregnant, after years of struggling to conceive and having tests done on herself. So she decided to secretly get babies by having sex with men. One of them being our father's own brother, who is the donor for me and Sarah. Dad wanted a divorce right away. He was furious. He was broken. He was all sorts of things. And my sisters were trying to tell him how he should look at it as sperm donation and how we just had another dad out there who could be good for us, etc. Dad said it made it worse. My sisters were not happy. They tried everything to talk Dad out of the divorce. Even saying his divorcing mom was saying he wasn't glad he got us out of the bad situation. Luke and I are the only two who wanted nothing to do with Mom or with the sperm donors. Our sisters didn't like that and turned on Dad, saying he should be encouraging us and embracing this as just another part of our family. He confided in me that he feels like less of a dad, because he's not just our dad, but one of them, because someone else made us. Someone else will always come into it. I told him as far as I was concerned, he's the only dad I have, and as a daddy's girl, I could never have a relationship with someone else like ours. My dad has not spoken to that brother since, which made things even worse with Sarah, who asked him to allow her to have both her dads, being good with each other. Amy and Sarah's relationship with Luke and I is not good, and now we've had a big fight. Amy and Sarah said Dad is selfish and an a-hole for what he's done, and claimed he never really loved us if he can't be happy for us expanding his family. We disagreed. They said we should not be talking to someone who actively doesn't want the best for us and our newfound families. I told them I totally understood Dad, and to me, he was my only dad. Luke agreed. They said we couldn't expect them to be around him after he showed how little he truly loves them. I told them I would not choose them over Dad, so forget it. They were hurt, and I get it. They told us we were breaking the family apart, and we were refusing to see the positive. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. However she wants to frame it, your mom cheated on your dad and got pregnant 4 times. And you don't get pregnant the first time you have S, generally speaking. So heaven knows how many people she's had unprotected sex with while she was with your dad. And how does she know he had a low sperm count if he's never been tested? Not the a-hole. Sperm donation is done with the full consent and knowledge of all parties. What your mother did is more commonly known as cheating. She is the a-hole in all of this, and the main person responsible for breaking 2 families apart, yours and your father's, since I highly doubt that he will be speaking with his brother anytime soon. Wow, your sisters are delusional. Your mother cheated on your father with his brother, and that's a positive because they get an extra dad. Then got another guy too? Wow, denial is not only a river. I don't know if they are in relationships, but those partners beware. And your mother did the gaslighting to blame your dad for the infidelity. I hope you can get your father the help he surely needs now.